Welcome to Sports Talk with L-Beasley. It is Tuesday afternoon here for me in Detroit, Michigan. And first, for those who are wondering why I didn't do a show, normally I do a show pretty much every Monday, but unfortunately I had some technical difficulties the other day, so I was unable to do a show. If you follow me on Twitter or you are friends with me on Facebook, you know this, just what I say because you're friends with me on social networks, so you knew this. But for those who, like I said, aren't on social networks or have yet to, friend me or follow me on Twitter or things of that nature, you had no way of knowing that, like I said, I wasn't able to do a show mainly due to the technical difficulties I had. So, like I said, to all my fan supporters, apologize for those who did know were expecting it. Like I said, pretty much I'm going to recap on the NFL today mostly. Like I said, maybe do a little NBA if I have time, but mostly going to be a lot of NFL recap today. But also, before I even get started, I wanted to let my fans and supporters know, newcomers, anybody who's watching the show today, like I said, these next couple weeks, this week and going into next week, I'm going to let you guys know now, the shows are going to be scattered. I'm letting you guys know that right now. The shows are not going to be every day like I normally do. Mainly due to the fact that I'm a busy woman right now. Like I said, I'm a student in school. I'm getting, I'm focusing on finals for school, so education comes first with me. So focusing on getting my finals done, so, before I go on Christmas break and things of that nature. Then on top of that, I'm doing expansion plans for my brand and for this show that I think my fans, you all my fans, my supporters and whatnot, are going to love going into 2013, going into the new year. So these next couple shows are going to be scattered. I can honestly tell you, like this Thursday, probably won't be doing a show. I hope to announce make my nice big announcement at the end of next week and let my fans know what's going on and why I've been, missing sometimes in action. But just wanted to let you guys know ahead of time, immediately, that guys, like I said, these next couple weeks the shows are going to be scattered, focused on, like I said, my finals, my education, and then on top of that, also, like I said, just the expansion plans for my show and my brand. Like I said, I think that you guys are going to love once I announce it, but just wanted to let you guys know that so there's no miscommunication. So now we got all that out the way, let's get started on what I wanted to originally talk about. And like I said, today's topic of the show is football. Like I said, mainly NFL, just talking basically what's been going on from a standpoint of Monday Night Football game last night, and then obviously this previous Sunday with the NFL games, and even talking about a little bit about the draft since somebody actually entered their name, which was a shock to somebody, or a couple people it was a shock to, and then also just talking about the Heisman briefly. But first I can start on Monday Night Football game since it was, last night. Houston, Texas got exposed, pretty much. I mean, that's the way I look at it from this standpoint. That's pretty much what happened. Houston, Texas got exposed, and I mean exposed big. And obviously looking at that, you start to wonder what about this Houston Texas team can you say. And let me just say first off with the Patriots, Tom Brady has been having an MVP season, quite frankly a quiet MVP season. I know me personally, I don't give him the credit he deserves. Michigan man, I know a lot of people have been talking about Adrian Peterson, Peyton Manning, and rightfully so, but obviously Tom Brady is right in that MVP talk, and he showed exactly why last night. But more than anything with the Patriots, it was their defense. And that defense has always been, something that, some people said have won in the Super Bowls in the past, and even, have been somewhat of their downfall in recent years, because that defense wasn't as good as it used to be, or it wasn't as elite as it should have been. And I mean, for them to do the things that they did the other day against Houston was huge, shutting down Arian Foster, couldn't get anywhere on the ground, making Andre Johnson struggle. Obviously, they did a pretty good job of just containing. I mean, they did a great job of containing Houston, period. Some of it was just missed opportunities by Houston, but a lot of it was just, good defense by the Patriots, and I can't help but, but respect that. And like I said, I think like the Patriots handled J.J. Watt very well. They started sticking him in and not letting him jump up, which, in my opinion, is a pretty clever technique, which was smart. And then, like I said, in my opinion, you can't do things, like I said, you can't drop third and five, catches and botch red zone turnovers in Foxborough. You can't do stuff like that. You can't give up opportunities in the red zone and not score when you're playing in Foxborough. You just can't do things like that when you're playing. Not even just playing in Foxborough, but just playing period against the Patriots. You can't botch opportunities, and that's really what I said with Houston. Like I said, some of it was just good defense by the Patriots, but some of it truly was just Houston botching opportunities. Like I said, not catching passes, not making the right throw, not blocking, not running. And like I said, three things that I noticed, going into this game, or I said after the game for the Texans was, first, they look like they're going to really need home field advantage if they're going to get to the Super Bowl. Sure, anything, can happen, but, it looked like, when they go on the road, they seem to struggle, like I said, to win these games. That's where sometimes at home it seems like they have no issue. And then I noticed that they've had 2 losses have come against top quarterbacks, namely Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. And I mean, they beat the Broncos, but I ain't gonna lie, they gave up a lot to Peyton Manning in a victory. So, this is something looking at it, like I said, looking at these 3 great quarterbacks that they played, like I said, one they were able to beat, the other 2 they lost to, and looking at that, you have to question this team a little bit. But, obviously, as I said so many times on the show before, once the playoffs come, I mean, it's a clean slate. We know that. How many times have we said, oh, like I said, other than faithful Green Bay fans, I don't remember anybody really saying Green Bay was going to win a Super Bowl. I don't. I like I said, as much as I like Green Bay, or I like certain players on Green Bay, I should say, I didn't pick them to win the Super Bowl because I honestly just thought they had too many injuries. I honestly did. It wasn't any disrespect to them. I just you guys are injured too much, you're not going to be able to do it, and it actually ended up winning the Super Bowl. So, I obviously, as I said so many times, the NFL is very unpredictable when it comes to this. We know once you get in the playoffs, it's a clean slate. It's a clean slate. It's anybody's ball game. How many times did the Giants, like I said, had probably the most average or horrible regular season, and they get in the playoffs and, a switch goes off, somebody snaps their fingers, and it's all over. So, just looking at that, like I said, obviously it's a clean slate, but that showed me a lot about Houston just from an offensive standpoint, even a defensive standpoint. Like I said, when they weren't able to get pressure on, and obviously we know Houston's secondary is not great, and basically Tom Brady exposed that. So some of this stuff, let's not blow out of proportion like we didn't know. Let's be real. My Detroit Lions exposed Houston's secondary. They just couldn't continue to score like Patriots did. So let's not make it seem like some of this stuff is the first time we finding this stuff out. Like I said, Houston's secondary is not great, but the fact that they weren't able to get pressure on, using J.J. Watt and the rest of their defensive line, and the fact that they weren't able to get pressure on Tom Brady is always huge, and Tom Brady just exposed them through the pass game. And the fact that offensively they couldn't get the ball to the right receivers, or they couldn't make the right passes, they couldn't catch the passes, and the fact also that you couldn't get Arian Foster going, that's huge. So just wanted to bring that up real quick and talk about that. Also, just going into the, what happened on Sunday, it was a lot of fan requests on what I thought of this, so I'm just going to go with the fan requests. A lot of people want to know what did I think of Pittsburgh versus San Diego Chargers from the standpoint of, Big Ben is back. And for me, going into this game, it was Big Ben was back, and, I know a lot of people were expecting, that he was just going to come in and save the day. That wasn't the case. And, before I even get on Big Ben, the defense, in my opinion, was horrific. To allow San Diego Chargers to score 34 points, that's not Steelers defense. That secondary, the way they were exposed, that didn't look like Steelers defense to me. And that's something, basically, while Ben Roethlisberger has been out, has been something, Steelers could somewhat been proud of, just the fact that their defense was able to stop some teams and make some big stops. And in that game, they really didn't do it. And I also felt like in this game, going to a Big Ben perspective, he tried doing too much. He's coming back. He's trying to save the day. He's trying to make sure he get his team into the playoffs. And I get that, and that really was what it looked like to me. Big Ben was doing too much. He didn't look like old Ben. He looked like a Ben who came in here saying, I'm going to save the day and I'm going to do everything. And that's not what you're going to do. And like I said, a lot of it was just him not reading the coverage. And, a little credit to San Diego. I'm not going to lie. They did a couple good jobs. A couple times even fooled me, from a perspective of watching the game, seeing in there in one coverage and they changed it to another the minute to Boston. So they did a pretty decent job of that as well. But just looking at it from a Ben Roethlisberger perspective, a lot of stuff I saw, I felt like he probably knew, he just tried forcing it. Or he thought he could get it in there, and like I said, he didn't, he was getting pressure, he should have run, instead he's still trying to throw it in the pocket. And obviously, these are things we know Ben can do, he can run it, and obviously he can throw under pressure, but, like I said, to me, it looked like Ben was just doing too much. So I'm not really tripping over this too much from a Pittsburgh standpoint. Like I said, if this continues, then yeah, but like I said, to me, it looked like Big Ben just came in here just really trying to do too much. And like I said, when you're doing something like that, you're going to struggle. As far as that goes. So I just wanted to bring that up. That was my thoughts on the whole Big Ben situation for those who were wondering. My other fan request was the Falcons versus the Panthers. A lot of people wanted to know what did I think of the Falcons. And my really thing with the Falcons stays true. Let's just see what they do in the playoffs. From what I could see, no disrespect to Carolina. From what I could see, it literally looked like Atlanta really just got, first of all, they came into this game thinking we already beat Carolina. We came back against them. We know what to do. We're good. We've been doing all these comeback wins. It looked like they honestly just took their foot off the gas and thought they would have time to come back. That's what it looked like to me. It looked like they came here saying we playing Carolina. And obviously, like I said, when you're a team like the Falcons, when you're a team like the Patriots, this is not an excuse and it's not a good thing, but teams are going to take their foot off the gas. And that's to me what it looked like they did. Now the main things that I was bothered by in this game, and not just this game, but just continuously with Atlanta, has been first off the inconsistency or the non-production of their running game on a consistent basis. That's always been an issue for me with this team. Like I said, I'll constantly say, hey, if you can get that ball in Michael Turner's hands early, and not only that, you have other running backs that you can use to your advantage, get that running game going. Be productive with your running game. And defensively, if I'm an Atlanta Falcons fan or anything like that, you definitely want this Falcon team to stop giving up big plays defensively. That's been another downfall of this team. They give up big, huge plays that automatically put a team into the red zone, and sometimes they're able to stop them, and sometimes they're not. And you can't do that. Like I said, if I'm the Falcons defense, if you're going to get scored on, at least make them drive it down. That's my whole thing. If you're going to get scored on, don't make it easy on them. Don't let these guys get 50, 60-yard plays, 40-yard plays, and they're just getting down in the red zone off one or two plays. You want these guys to have to really drive it down the field, wear out that offensive line, wear out those receivers, wear out that running back, wear out the offense, make them tired, give your offense some rest. These are the things that you want to be able to do if you're Atlanta Falcons. Like I said, if you're Atlanta Falcons fans, what you want to see them do. So going into that game, that was really what it looked like to me. Like I said, like they took their foot off the gas. We beat Carolina before. We've been making comeback wins and being all right. Well, we gonna come out here and we just going. And like I said, no disrespect to Carolina, because Carolina, like I said, hey, y'all did y'all thing. Cam Newton did his thing. He was out for revenge. Carolina, no disrespect to them. Like I said, they definitely been a fighting team pretty much since the season started. Like I said, a lot of people expect them to have a better season than what they did, but they have not stopped fighting, and I can respect that. So like I said, that was pretty much was my thoughts on that game. Like I said, for the fan who requested that topic, wanted to let you know that. I got one fan request for the Dallas and Bengals game, and I think that's just because people want to know what did I think. And first out, prayers up to Jerry Brown and his family. Unfortunate loss and passing of Jerry Brown. Like I said, prayers up to his family, any of those who were affected by this situation. Like I said, it's very tragic and unfortunate. So for those, just like I said, continue to pray for him and his family, and like I said, anybody who was affected by it. And obviously Dallas came in here emotional. They fought for the win that the Bengals gave them, and pretty much that was my thoughts. I'm not even gonna take long with this. The Bengals gave that game away. From a defensive standpoint, from an offensive standpoint, they gave the game away, and Dallas just took advantage of it. And I don't care who you're playing, you got to play for 4 quarters, especially against Dallas. We all know Dallas is known for just, deciding to fight all of a sudden, and sometimes they can make it worth your while as a fan. Other times you just laugh at them for even trying. But at the end of the day, the Bengals gave that game away. But hey, Dallas took advantage of what they gave them. I'm not going to, get mad at that, me personally. I'm just saying. Another game that people wanted me to discuss was Washington versus the Baltimore Ravens, just from the standpoint of RG3, the whole Kirk Cousins situation and things like that. And for me going into this game, I'll start off with Washington. For RG3, played well. Obviously took the hard hit, with his knee, limped off the field, then came back on the field, led his team down to the red zone, unfortunately had to come out. For RG3, and thankfully, as we already know, since it's been a couple days now, we know he has no tear. It's considered to be a grade 1, I think, LCL sprain in his knee. So, I said, thankfully, it's no tear. Like I said, never want to see anybody tear their ACL, especially since I tore mine. So never want to see anybody tear their ACL or any ligament in their knee for that matter. But just the fight that he showed, that showed me a lot about RG3. He showed me a lot, period, this season anyway. Like I said, these rookie quarterbacks this year in the NFL, this class, like I said, they continue to have great careers. This is going to be a class to look back at and possibly say one of the greatest, depending on how they play. But just looking at, him, like I said, the fight that he showed, like I said, he could have easily sat his butt down. He could easily say, I'm not ruining my career. I'm not, like I said, you could clearly see on the replay. If you didn't see the game, you saw him on the highlights. If you saw the game, this guy was clearly in pain, still throwing darts down the field, limping down the field, getting to the line of scrimmage. And I have nothing but respect for that. And that's love. And like I said, for RG3, and that shows a lot of heart on his part. Like, hey, I'm in control of this. I want my team to go to the playoffs, and I'm doing everything in my power to make sure that they do that and that we get there, and I can respect that. As for Kirk Cousins coming in, Kirk Cousins didn't do anything that surprised me, not because I'm a Miss Know-It-All or anything, just for the main fact, I live in Michigan, so I watch Michigan, I watch Michigan State. So, Kirk Cousins did a lot of stuff. Kirk Cousins is really partly the reason that Michigan State offense was so successful for these last couple of years, with the Spartans. So, like I said, obviously Kirk Cousins just, like I said, he did his thing. He came in there and he led, and obviously that's one, if you're Washington, whether you're a fan or a player, that's something you can feel good about, knowing that you have a nice solid quarterback to back up RG3. I've said that so many times. Similar to how I feel about the 49ers situation. I don't like the way that Smith lost his job to Kaepernick. But like I said, if I'm a 49er fan or even a 49er player, one thing you can always feel pretty good about is, hey, you got two pretty good quarterbacks on this roster that if one goes down or if one is not doing what they need to do, that you can count on the other, and that's something to be said. So like I said, obviously Kirk Cousins, I'm not gonna blow him up like he just won the Super Bowl, but like I said, obviously he did what he's supposed to do. But anybody who saw this kid at Michigan State knows that he's not doing anything new. Kirk Cousins is somebody who knows how to make plays, not afraid to make the big throw. He did him at Michigan State, so that, no surprise, happy for him. He gets the opportunity to show his skills. And like I said, if you're a Washington fan or player, you definitely feel good knowing you just got a nice backup quarterback in Kirk Cousins. But I think it's safe to say that everybody wants RG3 under center. At least I know I do. From the Ravens' perspective, obviously due to this loss, they ended up firing their offensive coordinator. And now quarterback coach Jim Caldwell is taking over. But, with this, I didn't really have a problem. I have a problem with the offensive coordinator, but I don't feel it's all on the offensive coordinator. And I've said this so many times. A lot of it has to do with that offense and the execution of that offense, and then some of it is the coordinator. When it comes to the coordinator, personally, I got more irritated that he wasn't getting the ball in Ray Rice's hands. That is your playmaker. That is what you're paying him for. And this is what he does. And he's a playmaker through the running game or through the passing game. And that's really what, like I said, when it came to Coach Cameron, which was the offensive coordinator, that's really what personally pissed me off. When it came to, like I said, the creativity, not getting the ball in Ray Rice's hands. And that's why I say that's what you have to start questioning. But I'm not going to question necessarily all his play calling, because sometimes I felt like that was really Flacco and the rest of that offense really not going out there and executing. Obviously, you don't really have a number one receiver on that team, which can be a problem. But sometimes Flacco is just forcing it. He's not reading coverage. He's basically doing everything he shouldn't be doing. Like I said, not reading the coverage. Like I said, throwing it into bad areas, double coverage. Not, like I said, rushing instead of just running and sliding. He's throwing it, like I said, in triple coverage, just trying to make a play. And that's something at this point in his career he should know better than what to do. Not to do. I mean, come on, Flacco. And like I said, some of that's Flacco. Some of that's, like I said, just period, the offense as a whole. And then, like I said, some of it's just not really getting your playmaker the ball. We know when Ray Rice gets that ball in his hands, great things happen. I don't see why you don't get the ball in Ray Rice's hands, period, in my opinion. So, going into this game, looking at it from a perspective of, like I said, for the Ravens, you fire your offensive coordinator at this point. Obviously, we're gonna see what changes are made. But like I said, your schedule doesn't get any easier if you're a Baltimore Raven fan or player. Your schedule doesn't get any easier. It really doesn't. You still got 3 tough games to go. So I mean, not tough games, but you still got, some pretty good games to go. So if I'm a Ravens fan, I'm just really looking at, how this team is going to respond. Is it really going to make my team better and things of that nature? So that's just something to look out for. Like I said, if you're a Ravens fan, you're not a Ravens fan, you don't really care. Like I said, just looking at that, I'm really just personally interested to see how they're going to play going down the line. And lastly, about Washington, like I said, they look more balanced defensively. The fact that they were able to, pressure Flacco, the fact that they were able to get, stop that offense, it may not be playing well all the time, but the fact that, like I said, Washington showed me some stuff in the last game. Alfred Morris, the running back, was great again. Run the ball, like I said, and it always helps when your team is more balanced. So anytime you become two-dimensional, it's going to help your team out tremendously. So like I said, this Washington team just seems to be coming together. Hopefully they can make some noise in the playoffs if they get the opportunity. So definitely want to see that. But that was just my thoughts on that whole situation. Somebody wanted me to talk about the New Orleans Saints and the New York Giants. New Orleans Saints perspective, just, poor offense. Not the running game is inconsistent. And on top of that, unfortunately, Drew Brees is just either he's forcing it, he's doing too much, or he's just not reading the coverage. He doesn't look good right now. As I think he's thrown he's nearly thrown probably 10 interceptions in the last 3 to 4 games, a total. So, this is not looking good for him, like I said. But obviously, the Saints team was going to struggle. This is not a surprise. Like I said, I'm a firm believer when you have a coach like Sean Payton or Bill Belichick or somebody like that, your team is going to struggle without you because you are a key member of that team and that roster, even if it is as a coach. So, like I said, for those who think a coach is not important, I think it is important. And like I said, obviously, some of this is just the offense, some of this is just the defense, some of this is just Drew Brees. But I think, that's been the main concern. Like I said, the inconsistency of this offense. The defense has always been a cause of concern, so I'm not really trip about that. As far as the New York Giants, to me, they really went out there and did what they were supposed to do. That's the Giants that I look for. And I'm not saying because they blew out the New Orleans Saints. I'm saying they took advantage of the opportunities that they earned. like I said last couple games I said about the Giants, or even this season, was they didn't have a problem getting down the field. They had a problem converting in the red zone. They did that last week, and that was against Washington. That was my big thing. They actually should have blew out Washington. But because they couldn't, they would get down to the 40 and 30, but then couldn't get into the red zone, or couldn't, once you got in the red zone, couldn't score. They're settling for field goals, and you're allowing good teams to stay around, and they're going to make you pay for it. And in this case, they didn't do that with the Saints. I mean, yeah, they did defensively. They did a great job, like I said, limiting Drew Brees to only one touchdown. He threw for 354 yards, but to limit him to one touchdown, one passing touchdown, and that's impressive from a Giant defense perspective. But like I said, from an offensive perspective, like I said, this Giants team, are they the most elite? No, not necessarily. But are they still an offense that's a force to be reckoned with? Yes. You still got an elite quarterback in Eli Manning. You still got nice and great receivers and tight ends on that roster. You still got a nice running back core. No reason at all for this team not to be able to go down the red zone and score. And like I said, that's been the continuous problem with this team, is, like I said, settling for field goals or being forced to punt, but mostly settling for field goals, allowing these games to stay close, and teams are making them pay for it in the end. And they didn't do that in this game. They said they came in and they slaughtered, Saints. They took advantage of the opportunities given and the opportunities that they earned. And like I said, obviously I'm not blowing out proportion. It was the Saints defense, but just the fact that, like I said, they took advantage. Like I said, if you look at the box score, the recap, it was touchdown, 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 field goal, touchdown, touchdown. It wasn't field goal. Oh yeah, they got a touchdown finally. No, it was touchdown, touchdown. Oh, okay, let's settle for a field goal this time. And that's what I want to see out of the Giants. Like I said, taking advantage of those big drives that they earn. That's not what a field goal. Like I said, get some touchdowns on the board. That's what's gonna help you win the game. So those were my thoughts on those games in particular. The other situation people wanted me to talk about was Marcus Lattimore, South Carolina running back, basically declaring for the NFL draft. And for some, this was a surprise. And I'm not going to sit here in front. For me, it was a little bit of a surprise, especially anybody who knows, he tore pretty much every ligament in his knee. He already basically had come off a torn ACL from the past year and, was having a tremendous season. Unfortunately, had, like I said, probably one of the most horrific knee injuries I've seen probably since Sean Livingston tore some ligaments in his knee back in the NBA. So that was a horrific blow. So he has, according to sources and ESPN and whatnot, put his name into the draft. I don't really I guess the big question with him just is, the rehab, are you going to be ready, but then don't rush it? Like I said, I guess we'll know more just depending on how his rehab goes and seeing who else is in the draft from a running back perspective. But, it's like I said, it was a surprise to me. I just briefly wanted to discuss it. Like I said, for me, it's a little bit of a shock. I'm not going to knock it till I see it. Like I said, obviously we got to see how his rehab goes and things of that nature, how he comes back, and that's going to tell me a lot. And then, like I say, more than anything, just telling me once the college season's over, from a bowl perspective, just seeing, who really is going to enter the draft from a running back perspective, and then seeing, what teams have what picks and what line, who helps who. So, not going to really trip too much about that. Like I say, it could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, but until I can get more information, have more details concerning the players in the draft, teams, in what order and stuff like that, I'm not going to make a big deal too much about it other than that. The other big thing was Jonny Manzeil, or Johnny Football, some people like to call him, or some people even call him Johnny Heisman now, yes, because he won the Heisman Trophy. Like I said on my previous show, and I think when I talked about the Heisman, I didn't have a problem if Johnny won it. Just like the only person I was gonna have really a problem with who won it if it was Colin, and that wasn't necessarily a problem. I just felt like Teo and Johnny deserved it a little bit more. Personally, I wanted to see Teo win it, pretty much because Teo to me, pretty much won every award in college football this year anyway. But I just felt like he had a huge impact on his Notre Dame team from a leadership standpoint, from a defensive standpoint, especially since that's what Notre Dame is known for this year, is locking teams down, not allowing them to score. I felt like Teo would have been great to see him win it, but nothing against it, it's Jonny Manziel. Like I said, very deserving as a freshman to do what he's done. With this Texas A&M team, and like I said, this was a team that most people was expecting to come into the SEC and struggle. And obviously, no, they're not in the national championship, But at the end of the day, this is a Texas A&M team who beat Alabama, who had some good tough wins, and it was mainly due to that great quarterback Jonny Manziel, who's only a freshman. He made history. Congratulations to him. I guess the big thing with him is just what do you do now? You know what I mean? You're a freshman, so you still got plenty of years left. Obviously, you know, you can pretty much leave anytime you want, but still, just, you know, seeing just what he's going to do, how he's going to live up to it. You know, this is rare. You don't normally get it this young. So just seeing how he's going to live up to the hype and going into next year if he improves on the things maybe that, you know, he struggles with and things like that. But like I said, no disrespect for him. Very happy for him. Would have loved to see Tail win it, but hey, Tail has every other award in college football that he was able to qualify for. So, you know, happy for Tail and even Colin. Still had a successful season. But definitely, I say congratulations to Jonny Manzeil for those who were wondering what I thought on that. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's show. Like I said, I know it was a little bit more of a football recap because I mentioned yesterday. But like I said, let me know what you think. If you agree, if you disagree, leave comments for me. Let me know what you think. If you have a topic you want me to discuss that I was unable to talk about today, or maybe I just failed to mention, be sure to let me know. It could be anything. It could be NBA, NFL, college basketball, college football, be about a player, a coach, a team. Be sure to let me know. I'm always happy to honor any of my fan requests that you saw on today's show. So be sure to let me know that. If you want me to be a guest on your show, be sure to let me know. I am always happy to be a guest on someone else's show. I know I've been getting emails and tweets and messages about this stuff. So like I said, if you want me to be a guest on your show, please let me know. And like I said, I'm always a guest on somebody's show pretty much once a week. So if you want to go hear what I had to say on somebody else's show, go to my website, LaurenBeasley.com, and go to guest spots, and you'll be able to see and hear a couple of my, you know, guest spots on other people's shows. So, you know, be sure to go check that out. Well, check out MoneyballSportswear.com. They're a huge supporter of me, Lauren Beasley, and my show Sports Talk with L-Beasley. If you love Under Armour, you love Nike, you're going to love Moneyball even more. So go check out MoneyballSportswear.com. The only way to ball is Moneyball. Once again, thank you for tuning in. More than likely, I will be doing a show tomorrow. I know for sure I'm not doing one Thursday, so I'm letting you know that now. I'll probably remind you tomorrow. But as I said to my fans and supporters, these next couple weeks the shows will be scattered. So like I said, if you follow me on Twitter, if you're friends with me on Facebook, you'll pretty much know ahead of time. But if not, you know, if you're wondering why I do a show, just know that I'm busy. I'm working hard. It's not intentional. So I want you guys to know that. All my contact information is on the credits at the end. Like I said, if you want me to be a guest on your show, email me, follow me on Twitter, friend me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram, all those different things. Be sure to do that. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you guys tomorrow.